In the user guide, it talks about vendor billing and how you log in, etc. This stuff is all the same as you're used to with Compass and anything else we use with minimum requirements. So I am skipping all over the basic stuff and going straight to page 6, the vendor billing introduction. Okay? So if you're going to follow along with me, that's where I'm going to start. I've already logged in, and this is the screen that you start in vendor billing. At the top, it lists what agency you are. In my case, we've set up a demo agent in here. And then a list of vendors that are using vendor billing will show in the drop-down. Okay, so right now, for this demo agency, I have 5 different vendors that are enabled for vendor billing in the system. Okay, you notice that there's very few here. Normally, an agency, to set this up, you have to go through vendor view, which I'm going to go ahead and just show you how to do that now. You have to go through vendor view and go into the manage vendors section to enable them. And this is at, I think, the end of the user guide, because the first part of the user guide has to do with what the vendors see. So you would go in to your vendor view and go over to the tools, manage vendors, and then you have to edit vendor, and then you'll find somebody else that's not on the list, and then you can enable them by clicking the yes button in billing. That is what makes them show up in this drop down here. Okay? If that billing is not checked as yes, they will not show up in vendor billing. Now there's another step to this, is that you have to, there's 2 steps to this. One is that you can use vendor view as an agency to post bills, or you can have the vendors post bills. So it can be used for both situations. If you want to post bills through vendor billing instead of having, instead of using the Misys bill posting world, you can. But to do that, you just stop right there with what I've done so far. You add the vendor billing rights to the vendor. If you want the vendors to use it, then you also need to take another step and go into Manage Users, find the vendor, and then enable billing for a user. Okay? So when you do that, what happens is, if any users for a vendor are set up with billing rights, then you can no longer post bills using vendor billing for that vendor. Okay? It basically flips the switch. If you give access to the vendors to post, then only they can post. If you don't give them any of their users access to post, then you can post. Okay? Does that make sense?
Melissa,
yeah.
Paula, I have a question on that, because I read the user guide, and if they have an amended bill, they have to send it in paper form. Is that what I read?
Yes, right now, yes. I haven't got that far, but yeah. There is no bill edits allowed in vendor billing right now. Eventually it will. It's something we've already started working on, but we haven't got there yet because of Misys. The interaction with Misys and edits is a terrible place to be. So,
okay, so we would then be able to post that amended bill, correct?
In Misys, yes.
Agency?
Yep, in Misys,
okay.
But not in vendor billing.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
And I'll talk about that more when I get to the actual posting part. Okay. So any questions about how you flip the switch that you can post versus users can post, the vendors can post, that is? No? Okay. So that is that. So I'm going to go back into vendor billing. So you would select in here first of which vendor you have a bill for, that you're either going to post, well, right now we're going to pretend like we're posting. So let's pretend that they gave us a bill manually and we're going to post it for them, okay? And this is exactly how the vendors would do it too. You would go in and pick your vendor. They may have multiple vendors too, depends on how many agencies and whatnot they're serving. And then once that's selected, if it's not the default one, then the next thing, the very first thing you need to do is set what month you're going to post for, okay? If you're posting for a month other than last month, then you need to move back the months using the left, right, or maybe it needs to go forward depending on, if you've already moved backward. But you need to do that, and then you have to click a day in the month, doesn't matter which one, to set the month. Because right now, even though I say November 2014 here, if you look to the right, it still says January 1, 2015. Okay? Until I click in that month, that's when that right side will change and update the information on the right. We did that because we didn't want you to scroll and every month have to wait for the right panel to load. So we make you have to click something else to say, yep, I'm ready, give me the information I want. Okay? It's not very intuitive. It was the best, quickest way we could come up with at the time. So, so first you'd find your month, click in the month, and then you can go from there. Right now we're going to ignore everything on the left panel because we'll talk about that later. What you're going to need to do then is go to the bill. Now if you, if a vendor logs in, when the vendor logs in, they're automatically taken to this bill page. You as an agency, though, your default is always to review because normally you'd have the vendors post and then you'd review. So if you want to do something other than approve what they've posted, then you have to click the bill to do the posting yourself. And when you go to the bill page, it's going to show you a list of all the people that have care plans open in the month that you've got selected. Okay, there's a few filters up here, and it defaults to not posted. Okay, so anybody that's not posted is going to show here. If you had posted some and you want to pull those bills up, then you would have to change it to posted. Or maybe you know that they've not been reviewed yet, or they have been reviewed, or just that give me everything because I don't want to bother with it. And then you have to click the search button to change. There won't be anything changing right now because I haven't done anything for January yet. You can reset the information. You can search by a person if you want to just do one person, etc., to get them in that list below. Okay? So when you're ready to post, what you're going to do is you're just going to click on a person and then click the select button, and that will bring you into the bill. Now, if you're using Firefox and I think Chrome as well, you should also be able to double click and it will go in without clicking the select button. I find that it's very sensitive to it, and I double click too fast. So therefore it never works for me, but other people, if you've got a slow, steady hand, it works all the time and you just could get used to it. I'm not in here enough to figure out what the right rhythm is to get it to do that right. But you supposedly, I know you can, I've done it, I just can't get it right every time, so I just hit select. When you hit select, you're going to come in, there's two things that could happen. If the person is only set up for one service, you're going to go straight into the bill posting screen for that service. However, like this person is set up for 3 services for this vendor. Okay? Now, ignore the fact that these things are usually not served together by one vendor, but we're just going to go with that theory for demo purposes. And it will show you then the list of services so that you have to pick a service before you go post the bill. If there's only one, though, it's going to take you straight in because there's only one choice. So it skips this page. So let's just go into community support services. Okay? Again, you could double click. I'm going to click the post button, and you'll come into a screen as soon as it connects. There we go. Here is the post bills screen. So at the top we've got Pillsbury Doughboy person, the service, and it's got the codes here, the last 4 SSN, what county, whether or not the days may vary or participant is at risk based on the template, scheduled exception, and care plan. And then as you're posting bills, this total cost and total units will go up. Okay? We'll talk about this part in just a second. But you'll notice that unlike MISIS, vendor billing shows you full weeks of the in the month. So because January started on a Thursday, it's going to show you the days before that in December. So you now have the ability to see a full week at a time for when you're analyzing variance issues when you're posting. You can see that. And same thing at the end of the month. If the end of the month didn't end on the 31st, we would also see February. Okay? And that's for if maybe somehow February bills got posted before January or whatever month I'm picking, we show that as well. And then that's also there for the approval piece too, not just the posting. So the vendors actually see this information too, so they can see that they posted 4 units on the 29th and 4 on the 31st. Okay. Now the rest of this screen, it shows you the days of the week, the date of the month. If they want to post units and cost per unit, that is here. The care setting is shown from your care setting status, so they can see if they were home in the hospital or nursing home or whatnot. They're also able to post on services. There's a key that pops up for that. I'll show you how to do that in a second. They also have the ability to click on the plus sign to add a vendor note, or if they messed up the whole line completely, you can delete the post row and restart it up again. Okay, it doesn't actually delete it, it like clears it out. So what happens is when they go to post a bill, you see that there's cost per units of $3.35 on random days, and okay, they're not random. That is coming from templates and scheduled exceptions. So these are the days that you have authorized them to provide services, okay? And in this case scenario here, days may vary is no. So hopefully they're going to post on these exact days, because when you get to approve it, then you would see that it was not supposed to vary, and you'll see the difference. If it is a yes vary, then they can change this around to whatever they want. They can actually do whatever they want anyway. It'll go through. We don't disallow them for posting what they've done, because sometimes the care plans don't get updated till later. So they can post it on a different day, even if it does say days may vary and it equals no up here. But it is there for both you and them to see. So the template's bringing forth the cost per unit, but you'll notice it's not bringing forward the actual unit amount that you authorized. And the reason for that is that we don't want them, the vendors, when they post these, to go in here and just click save. Okay? We want them to consciously make an effort to know what they're supposed to have done for that month. Okay? So they have to go in and post the actual units that they provided service and on what days, versus us just defaulting it to what you authorized exactly, because we don't want them to try to gig the system and just go through what they want. So that's why the units are not there, but the cost per unit's there to help them know that these are days you're supposed to go out. And that kind of just helps with seeing the pattern too, because you can kind of see here the pattern better when it's laid out like that. Like this is Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you can tell that. There is a shortcut for them and for you as well, though. If, for instance, the whole month they only went out for an hour, which is 4 units for this CLS service, then what they can do is go to the top here, put in a 4, and then click the units button here. What that does is it puts a 4 down the whole month. And you're going, but they didn't go out every day that month. That's fine. The 4s will not save on days where there's no cost per unit. Okay? It just fills in the whole month with 4s, but it does not save it to the system whatsoever if there's not a cost per unit entered here. So when I go to finalize this, the only ones that are going to be here are the ones that are on these days here with the cost. If they want to add another day doing this, they could. They could just put in, the 3.35 here, okay, and then that day will get added as well. If they take them out, you can backspace it out, either both or just one. It doesn't matter. If both are not present, it will not save that day. Okay, they both have to be there for it to do anything. So they can change it around how they want at this point, but that's just a helper, especially people like with meals. It's one every day. All these other people that may be providing constant services that it is an everyday or most of the month type thing. It's always the same amount of units. Then it's easier to do it that way. Okay? Or if they went on a day that was more, they could change the score to an 8, etc. Okay? They could also change the unit cost in the whole thing as well. Now, we don't recommend this for most of them, but there is times where we know that agencies have a different cost for certain clients because they live out so far, so they get a higher rate because transportation is built into that one for that person. And there's other reasons too, like the GT, I think, independent, financial people, they have a different rate every time that they post, so they can easily just change it up here too. So those people, it helps, but most vendors will never use this, nor will you if you're posting bills in here. Okay. Non-service, they can post these.
Melissa, this is Paula.
Yeah.
I have a question on that.
Yeah.
Can we put in the unit rate and click that unit cost and have it pre-fill the whole month?
Yes.
Like you did with the unit?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it works the exact same way. I wouldn't do it now, though. You cannot do both, because if you do both, then you're going to have 4 at that new rate on every single day. And then you're going to have to manually back everything out, and that's pretty much going to take up more time than it would have been for you to just change these few days. So if you were doing, I would do one or the other, not both, because otherwise you'll end up posting on every day. But otherwise, yes, that works the exact same way.
Thanks.
Non-services, when vendors are posting, this becomes tricky because they have to be trained to understand what non-service means to you. For instance, if the person rescheduled on them that said, you know, I want you on Tuesday instead of Monday, don't put a non-service on Monday, because that's not a non-service. You're still giving them the same hours in that week, you know, or whatever your rules are at your agency. You would need to make sure they understand that. The other part, too, is this non-service. They can post it, but you cannot approve, and there's an ability for you not to approve it as a non-service either, so that it doesn't get in our system. Just it becomes a pain in your patukas if they post these all the time and you're having to take them out. So you'll figure it out real quick if they need to be educated or not. And yet other people put non-services in when they go into the hospital. And while that's, you know, fine and dandy, the problem is a lot of the times you'll want to close that care plan out sooner because they haven't got services since this later date, but you can't because they posted all these non-services in the system. Okay, so that's another thing to train them on, is if, you know, it's an ongoing thing, don't post it as a non-service, because you're dealing with it differently than that. Okay, so that requires a little bit of training, but like I said, when you get to the approval process, if the vendors are posting this, then you can not approve it, and I'll show you that later. I'm going to go ahead and put one in here just to make it up. I'm going to say this Thursday that the person's not available. Okay, you can, when you put your mouse over it, this key keeps coming up so that you can see exactly what these codes stand for. We didn't want to waste the real estate on the page with putting the full names on there, so that we could get more of the other information on here. Okay, so then they can put in a vendor note if they want to and say, you know, that Doughboy wasn't home. Okay. So when the note is posted, it actually changes the plus sign to an edit paper pencil thing. Okay. And if you hover over it, you can see it. You could also click on it to open it up. They can edit it right now. If they messed up, they can change it. But you can just hover over it to see it as well. Then if they screwed something up, they can delete the whole row. Like this one here, maybe Friday wasn't supposed to be there, so they can just do that, and it cleaned it out. Okay. You could also do something like that if you posted, you know, did both of these units and unit cost when you first get started and you're not sure and you're messing with it. You can use these and just click, 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 and reset it back down the whole grid. Okay. You can't do the whole grid at one time, but you can, you know, clicking these once versus backspacing every one of these things out is a lot faster. Okay. So that delete will come in handy for you too. So yeah, so as you're going along, you would go through the month, you look at the total cost per units and the cost in units up here. You see that it matches the bill that you've got or the timesheets that they're using, whatever, however, whoever's posting, and you're done. There is no save in here. This is saving as you go, just like Compass does, and they can change it whatever up to a certain point, which I'll show you in a second. But they, at this point, when you're done with that one, you click the back button, and then you go on to the next one. So then they would go, and you'll see here now that I have posted units and cost here, versus S5150 doesn't. So you go to the next service and go and post those, okay? And after it loads, our demo database is a little slow. So in this one, you know, you could go through, and this is unskilled respite care, etc., and just go down and whatnot, okay? This looks like it's once a week or something, but it's probably not an hour, but whatever. And then click the back button, and then they just keep going through it like this. This is the snow ice removal. Now, one thing to know about this is that the screens on this, you want to post all the services at one time, okay? And not like, not obviously at the exact same time, but right now I want to put snow ice removal in. The reason why is, if there was any, the reason why for that is that when I click finished, okay, and if it was still to the default of not posted, which I just fixed that, Doughboy's gone, okay, because this screen knows that Pillsbury Doughboy has had bills posted for this month for this vendor, and it assumes that you're done, okay. However, the snow one was not done. The reason that is because at this level in here, this is per person, not per service. So if it sees one service posted or anything for that service posted, it automatically thinks you're done. So you can go to the all, you can go to the posted to pull them back up, and then you can go in and see that Pillsbury Doughboy, you need to still post that. But this is a common problem when people are posting bills. that they're like, but it says everything's posted. Well, it's not, because you didn't do, the person at a time. You did service at a time, okay? So they need to know that they either need to change their practices to post the whole vendor, at one time for all the services instead of one service at a time, or know that they have to use the all button every time, okay, to change that filter so they can get to these people, okay? So, and that's because, like I said, it's looking at this grid right here. It sees posted costs in unit, so therefore it's considered posted. Regardless of the fact that not everything's posted, it's a dumb screen, that it doesn't know beyond that. It just knows that I have posted amounts. I'm considered a posted filter, okay? And up at the top, it's also keeping track of what I've posted, okay? So you can see the whole, all the participants as I post are showing up there as well. All right, I'm going to show you some special situations here. I'm going to go into Superwoman. And Superwoman, let's see, I want to go into, I got to look at my notes here how I set this up. Okay, I want to go into CLS. When I go into CLS for her, when it opens, okay, in here, you'll see when I scroll down towards the end of the month, the 20th through the 22nd say that they're in the hospital, and I've got 2 non-services that are already showing up. These non-services are coming from MISIS. So if you had posted non-services before the bills are posted, then they show up right here right away, and you'll see that they can't change them. Okay, so the vendors, if the vendors are billing, they can't mess this up for you because you've already put it in the system. And you'll notice that this one's not, probably because this is a partial day. Not necessarily for this service, but maybe some other service doing the hospital in the afternoon, so they could have had a morning one, so you didn't post a non-service on that day for them. For what reason? I don't know. I'm making stuff up as I go, but whatever that could be why that they be off in the days like that. Okay, so they can't touch that. And it also shows them the reason why, because they're in the hospital. So they can go through here, and I'm going to just put that 4 back in. And you'll see that the hospital dates, because we put non-services in here, there is no cost per unit on these days, so they wouldn't post them. Now, technically, they could post them. I can put in the 335, and it will go in, okay? Just when you review it, you'll see that the variance is going to show you, obviously, because these days were taken out, and the fact that they have the non-service there. But you'll have to question at that point of, were they home, or was this a special thing, for, like snow plowing and stuff. It wouldn't probably matter, but it should, but sometimes, that doesn't work out for you. But the first day or the last day of the hospitalization might actually be okay, so you'll have to think about that if they do end up billing on those days, but usually that's the only reason they would, because obviously it's sitting in front of them that they shouldn't. But they may also put a note in there as to why they did that, which hopefully they did, because that would help. Otherwise, you can just deny it. Okay, so that's what that looks like when you have care setting statuses and or non-services. They don't have to be the same. I mean, I didn't have to change both for them to show up here. If I put in a nursing home status by itself and didn't put in non-services, nursing home is going to show up here. I don't have to change the care setting for a non-service to show up here either. It just happens that when I set up the example, they were correlated. Okay, so I go back, and it's now got that 68. And now I want to show you another example here for strawberry shortcake. All right, if I go into her, the same service, H 2015. All right, you see a lot of orange, okay? This orange means that the care plan is not open during that period. They can't do anything to any of these dates, okay? So if the care plan either opened or closed in the month, it's going to show up as orange. Now note that I did not say template. If you have the care plan open but the templates are all stopped, they could still post against it. They wouldn't have any cost per units in here, but they could still post against it. They could send you bills for that. So it's what the care plan is controlling that right now. So if the care plan's open, they can post regardless of templates or not. I mean, they had to have had at least one template at some time for them to at least pull up the client in the month. But if the templates start, like for instance, if maybe this care plan was open forever, but the template started on the 15th of the month, this would not be orange because the care plan was open forever before that. Okay? The orange is only because the care plan start date is January 15th. Okay? Does that make sense? Okay. So orange, you know, they can see right away that they can't do anything with. They cannot. This means that they cannot post outside your care plan dates. Now, of course, if you haven't put the care plan stop dates in or whatever, then this is all null and void because they could post before you put it in. But as long as your data entry staying up on top of it, then you're fine. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and post hers, just the defaults there. I love that little shortcut button. Okay. So those are, you know, some examples of just different things that you could see while bill posting. All right. I'm going to just leave it at that. And you'll notice right now I have in this bottom box amounts in the non-service in this unsent bills. What this is for this vendor for this month, that is how many bills that have not been sent. If you are posting at that as the vendor, you will see this box. Okay? Vendors will see this box. Okay? This is where you would go to say, I'm ready to send it to the agency so that they can go through the review approval process. Okay? So as they're posting, you aren't seeing anything happening on your end as an agent if the vendors are posting. It's just happening until they click it to send to you. You don't have, you won't know that they've done it. Okay? And you won't see this. So if what they're going to do is they have to click this green arrow, or you will if you're posting in vendor billing instead of MISIS, and it's going to show you a list of every single bill in here. Okay? So every data service is in here for every person, for every service, etc., lined out. And you can see there's already 4 pages with the very few that I posted. Okay? This was set up so that they could verify that, yes, this is indeed what I want. Unfortunately, we figured out with some of these bigger vendors and such, this wasn't very helpful to have that much detail on the screen. So what we did was in here, they can now run a report when they're on this page that's called the Agent Service Summary. And if they run this report, it's going to give them a summary of the person and the service and how much they posted so that they can verify this before they ship it off to you. Okay? They should have already done that as they were posting, but this is just another double check. This actually was requested by the vendors to help them know, especially if they got multiple people posting and things like that, then they know that it all got done and what constitutes the total cost of the $559.80 that's up here in the units of 172, so that they can figure out, okay, who's missing, if they have an issue like that, or if they overposted somebody on accident, they would know that as well. So they can review this report by going to that reports menu, but this is only available from the reports menu when you're on this unsent bills page, which we also refer to as the send to agent page, because the button send to agent is on it. It's also called the send batch page. We just, like lots of terms for this page. So if CIM calls it, it's usually called the send to agent page though, because this is the only function for this page is for them to review it and send batch to you. What this is going to do is it's going to send you a batch number to the agency to let you know it's ready for approval of how much, etc. And then it tells you who sent it and what, so that you can then go through that. So it's kind of like how you guys are sending claims encounters batches to the state. They're sending you bill batches this way. Okay? So if they click send to agent, it makes them certify that this is appropriate. Okay? This is the same language that people have had on their bills before, the paper bills in the past. So we put that on here so that they, we're following whatever MDCH policy is regarding this, so that we know that they confirmed this. If you're just starting out with vendor billing, you're going to need to get a signature on file for every one of these providers that are going to use vendor billing, because you need to have that signature on file to say that these charges are okay. We do have the documentation for that and a sample letter that you can send to have them signed to keep on file. But that is something that you would have to do because this is an electronic signature. Okay. So if you're interested in starting up vendor billing, then obviously we'll be working with you anyway, and we'll get you that information. So then they would click the confirm button, or if they didn't want to, they can cancel. And when they click confirm, at the top, it's going to show, in a second, 42 bills sent to agent in one batch. Okay? The reason why it says one batch is because they could have been posting new days to old months that they never posted before. You know, maybe it was a missing timesheet that they're catching up with. They can post those in vendor billing because it's never been posted before. And if they do different months, vendor billing is going to split those different months into different batches. We only have one batch per month. Okay? So if I had had multiple things, then it would have created two batches. Put multiple months, that is. Okay? And then the other thing I want to show you here is when I open up Strawberry Shortcake again, who I had posted, okay, and she was in that batch, when you go into Bill Post, which I don't think it took it, okay, they are not going to be able to access the days that they had sent before. See these? These are grayed out. So this is why this is how we are preventing them from doing bill edits inside of vendor billing because of the MISIS issue. So until we get that worked out or get rid of MISIS, one of the two, then they have to send you a paper bill for these days that have been posted before. But if they are adding additional days, they can do that through vendor billing because you can see I can still post more units on a different day. Okay? I just can't change this for, take it out, you know, up, increase it, whatever. I can't do that. But I can add to different days that have never been posted before. Okay? So if they do have missing timesheets and such, they can come in here and post it. Any questions on that part? All right. So the batch has been sent and it's been posted. When that happens, what happens over here is that actually gets added to a pending review list at your agency. Because I'm an agent user, I'm seeing this box. If I was a vendor, you would not see that box. This is all of the batches that are sitting here waiting for your approval. And one of them is the one that we just sent. Okay? So the ABC Home Vendor is our brand new batch, and it's pending review. Now, I also have all these other batches that were pending review. So this is a shortcut way for you guys to go know, first of all, what's waiting for you to review, and just click the green arrow to open it up and start approving it, is how that works. There's other ways that you can get to it as well, which I'll show you, but this is the quick, easy way that most people are using to know what is there, and because it doesn't matter. It shows everything regardless of what vendor you have selected at the top. Other things in the system are based on the vendor you have selected. Okay, so I'm trying to catch up with my user guide here. Actually, I want to show you, the other thing that's in here is the dashboard. And the dash here, I wanted to come over this now because I just did a new batch. And if you click on dash, it's going to show you batches posted, not reviewed. And these are batches that have been posted and have been sent by the vendor, but have not yet been reviewed by the agent. But this only applies to the selected month and year. Okay? So if I change out of January, that not reviewed batch will not show up here. That's why we like to have it over here, because this doesn't matter. It shows you everything, versus this one only shows you for the month. Then the batches recently reviewed, there's 2 of them, and those are batches that have been reviewed by the agency in the last 7 days. Those don't matter which month. I actually have a month of service column in here to show you that these were both December ones that were reviewed. Okay? So those are just helpful things, like if you know you're working on something, then you could come in here and go get that right away, or see what has been done recently. You can see that through the dashboard. Okay? But probably most of the time you're probably not going to see too much in that regard. Okay? All right, I'm just checking to make sure I didn't skip anything. I don't think so, though. Okay. So what the next step is to review the bills. So I'm actually going to pick on, which one do I want? Let's do this one first. This one's already been reviewed. I'm just going to go into one reviewed to show you what it looks like once it's been reviewed. When you go in here, you're going to see that it's defaulting to not reviewed, because that's usually what you want to look at. So you click to all to show everything. So in here it'll show all the people that were in this batch, which is batch number 50718. It was sent to you as the agency at this date and time by this user ID. Okay, so you can see who sends it to you. So if you need to follow up with them, you know. And then it shows you the basic information about it, what service it's for, how many units, and then how much is approved and how much is not reviewed. The NR is not reviewed. So you can see here in this list everything's been reviewed already, so there's really nothing that needs to be done. I'm just going to open this up and show you what it would look like. When you go in, it's all grayed out because it's already been approved. And so you can't approve anything more than once because it's always going to look like this. But it's a very busy page, and you're getting a few more things than you've gotten on the other screen. Like, for instance, for Pillsbury Doughboy, you can click this program details, and it will pull up a list of the current program information. So if you need to know that they're a special type of participant, you can see that by clicking there. So I can see that they started on 10/1. It's waiver yes, but nothing special about them. But it's also sometimes important to know what the start date was too, especially if you know that this is a newer client, etc., and aren't sure if they should have posted on that day because they weren't waiver yet or whatever. That is available to you there. It's also available to you a notes page, which I don't know if this one has too many. Okay, this one doesn't. I'll show you another one that has everything. But it will show you any care plan notes that are entered for that person, any template notes, that is in the times record or the tasks record, because template itself doesn't have notes, but times and tasks do. So those would show up here if those were present. And then date-specific notes, those would be scheduled exception notes. And most of you are probably going, I can put notes in scheduled exceptions, and yes, you can. It would be part of when you're editing a day and put in a scheduled exception, you can put tasks and times on that, and then there is where you could also put in notes. So those are available to you there. So those notes are all available here to see. And then at the top, it's going to show you for the month unit totals. The month unit totals means that it's excluding this day from November and the days from January here. Okay. Shows you how many are posted for units and cost, approved, authorized. So this authorized is how much was in the care plan templates and scheduled exceptions and whether or not there's a variance. So this is an example of there was no variance. Okay, so that's good. And then down here it's going to show you what batch number it came from, their care setting. If the vendor posted a non-service here, it'll show here. This is where you could change that non-service to be nothing or something else. Maybe they put the wrong type in and you want to change that. It shows you which number units were authorized, posted, and these are the ones you would be approving, which are already approved. Fund source, if there's more than one fund source available on that day for that service, you will have a drop down that you can choose it. Otherwise, it's going to default to the one and only that's there, which I'll show in a second. Authorized cost, posted cost, approved cost. Okay, you've got all that available. You'll see here, like this one was authorized, but nothing was posted or approved for it. And obviously, it wasn't approved because it wasn't posted. And then on down the line. And then it gives you then can put in an invoice number at the top and then click approve and you're done. Okay, once you've reviewed all this. I'm going to go pull up somebody we actually can do. All right, I've got to find my note of who I was picking. Oh, I was going to do the one I just did. Okay, so we're going to do this one. See, I can't remember. All right. So this is the batch that we actually just posted, okay? So I would go in here and you could just work down the line here. It's set to all, but I could choose this to not reviewed so that I only pull up the ones that are not reviewed, so the list will keep getting smaller as I review things. Okay, so I just click on the line and click select, and it goes in. So I see here that on this day, it's PNA. So participant not available. If I didn't want to have that, I just click this and take it out and say, no, that's not really a non-service. I don't want to store that in the system. You can take it out. Okay. Otherwise, they have zeros for the day because they didn't provide service. You can see over here, if you hover over it, that shows the doughboy wasn't home. Okay. You can add your own agent note. So the vendors can see what you've approved and not in here. So if you want to say something, excuse me, on something about this, then you can also comment it on it here. So for instance, if maybe you weren't approving a day, you may want to put a note in as to why you're not. And then the vendor will be able to see that when they run reports or come into the system. Okay? And you would just go down the list here, and you're seeing right now at the top, we're actually at no variance, which is good. So mostly you're just going to probably scroll through here and look and go, yep, okay, everything looks good. I don't see any crazy numbers going on down here. And you'll see now that the fund source is grayed out because 100 is only available to you. Okay? So you don't have to pick it because there's only one service for them. So the only thing you then would have to go in here, and you can put an invoice number. You don't have to if you don't want to, but you know, I just would put in, what's Jan 15 ABC. I don't know. And I'd click approve, and it's going to kick me back to this page saying 13 rows were approved. So now I've got to do the other service for Pillsbury Doughboy. The S5150 is next. So then you would go through here. You would click select. You see in this one, it's got posted 20, approved 20, but it was authorized for 160. And this is unskilled respite care. And you're going, okay, what's going on? Well, I can tell you what's going on. When I posted it, I just used 4 units, and it actually had authorized for those days 32. Okay? This is unlikely that would happen in the real world, but it did for me because I didn't remember what the heck I posted to begin with to authorize for. So this 32, if you know, they probably most likely would have billed 32 and you've been fine. So this variance being black 140 means that they underbilled. Okay, if they overbilled, this is going to turn red. So you'll see that. And then so you can scroll down, decide if you're going to approve it or not. If you want to change it, you know, you can do that, and then you just click approve again. Now, one thing I want to show you here is, let's say that they posted it and you need to change the day. Maybe because, especially like on a PERS unit or something, you need to change the day because they aren't eligible on that day of the month, but they are on another day of the month. If you know that at this point, you can click on this blue highlighted thing in the review process and change this date to what date you want it to be. So you can only change it to dates that are not posted. So you see here that the 8th and the 10th, it skipped the 9th. That's because I have a bill on the 9th already. So you can't change it to a day that has a bill already, but you can change it to any day that does not. So I could say, okay, let's make this the 10th then. Okay? And click change, and it's going to move all that stuff down to the 10th. Okay? Now the authorizing is not moving because that's still part of the template, but the actual bill posting information is. Okay? So that's what those blue highlights for, is for you can change the date on here as needed so that you don't have to take stuff out and say it's not approved, and you just move it all over, move it to where it needs to be instead. Okay? So you can do that in here as well. And then up here you'll see that the invoice number stayed. I didn't retype that back in. So that will stay for the entirety of your session of posting the bills. So you just click approve again if it's the same. And then we go back here and we got strawberry shortcake. So I go into strawberry. Okay, and you notice that the first half of the month is blank. Well, that's because that was the orange ones in the posting. So then you see the rest of the month is posted here. And there is no variance, so you can just approve it. Now I set somebody up for a variance, but I might have done it in December. To show you the red. I have another example for that anyway. So you just keep going through here, looking at it, seeing if there's a variance or not. You know, look through it however you would a normal bill, and if it looks okay, you just click approve. Okay? Now, this is a good example. This is saying that we have bills to approve on the following non-service dates of January 21st. And do you want to approve those? So it's catching a thing that you didn't notice it to begin with. And it's that non-service that we said we were going to post anyways, even though we had that participant hospitalization. Okay? So it will prompt you if you're going to be posting bills on non-service dates. So you can then go, yes, I do know about this, it's fine. Okay? That was the AM shift, just paying for, not the PM. And then you're all done. After that goes away. You will notice that there's this paginate recalc. The paginate is having to do with, do you want to show all the bills on one page, or do you want them split by page as you go 1, 2, 3, 4 clicking? So checking the box, I can't remember off the top of my head one way or another. I think it's going to show you, I think that's in here. It should be, but I might have missed that. The paginating has, yeah, here it is. It's where the page was on. Switches view from one screen or split into separate pages. It's when you split in the separate pages, it's better system performance. But if you want to see everything all on one page, you can uncheck that box, and then it will show you everybody for the whole vendor, okay, that was posted instead of pages at a time. Personally, I don't think it matters in here because you're going to be approving and it goes away as they get approved. So, but we've had issues in the past where people really wanted that option, so we put that in there. Okay. This recalc is actually something we usually do. I think, I'm not even sure. Yeah, you can see it. But it has to do with some totaling issues. When we first started with vendor billing, we had some issues where bills would get posted and somehow, somewhere along the way, the summary part was not showing the same number as the detail when added up, and it was just a view thing in the screen. So we clicked that recalc button and it would fix it. So that, you know, the only thing we really use that now for is if we have to do some DBA behind the scenes and get rid of stuff out of a batch or something to recalculate the total amount of the batch. But for the most part, though, you won't need to see that or use that. But that just refreshes totals, really. So that's what that's about. Okay, so when you're done, you just click Finished. It comes back here. You can see that you have no batches posted, not reviewed. That one that said ABC Wheels, or ABC Vendor over here is gone because we already did it. Okay, you can get back to that batch by seeing it down here. Okay, it's right there. Or there's also the review page, and this shows you all of the batches that are ready to be reviewed for that month. So this was the one I just did for January. If I click back to December, okay, you can see that there's 2 batches, and both of them have been approved. Okay, nothing's been not reviewed. I know what I didn't show you, I meant to. If we go back to January, I think it's January, maybe it's December. No, that's January. Oh, I have to click in the box. Remember that. Switch the month. Let me demonstrate how that messes it up. I'm going to go to all. Oops. Because I wanted to pull up Superwoman. I forgot to show you this. I was going to show you the notes and how you can see all the different notes, and this person is set up for it. So Superwoman, we have a care plan note that says that they're hospitalized from this period and that the care plan line number is listed here, so that if there's multiple care plans for the same service, you'd be able to tell which one's which if you needed to. Here's a times note, so the person's preference is 9 to 10, but she may want different times. That's okay. And then here's some non-service that were entered, and here's the tasks and times notes that were entered. So all of these are available to you here. So this actually shows more notes than MySys does, because MySys will only ever show you the care plan note, not anything in the times, tasks, or scheduled exception notes. Okay. And remember, these are coming out of scheduled exceptions or date specific. So these were non-services that were posted. This was a scheduled exception that was posted. Probably information about extra services is what this one was for. It was authorizing extra services on the 2nd because the caregiver could not help in the afternoon. So we got somebody else out there to help. Okay? And about the times and what time they wanted to be there. So these are things that you could be using it for and see that here. Okay? Now, I just realized I do not have an example set up to show you what multiple fund sources are. But basically, when you're going through the approval process, if this is white like these boxes are here, which they're not right now because I'm not approving, it's already been approved, it'll have a drop down there and you'll see it. Otherwise, it's going to be grayed out just like this if there's just one. Okay? So let me go back. I'm going to go post, let's just see what I got here. If you're an agent vendor, you can access all these other agents. And I can click on this, choose this, and I don't even have to change that vendor at the top because it automatically is going to change it for me when I click on that. So that pending review is a great shortcut for agencies to go through the review process because you do not have to sit there and flip the switch on the month and year and the vendor. You just click on that batch, the one that it's showing you, and it takes you right to where you want to be. Okay? So then you just have to click on select and go through the page, review it. When it comes up, there it goes. And you can see there's no variance, probably because I'm just too lazy for these examples. I just post exactly what was authorized and call it good. Again, that invoice number is still there. So this is one of those times that you would probably go, wait. Nope, that's supposed to be, you know, Meals on Wheels. Okay? You have to change it at that point if you're switching invoice numbers. Okay? If you weren't switching invoice numbers, you're still fine. But then you can go back to the next person, click select, open it up, look at it, and then approve it. Okay? Actually, this is the one I just did. Because I've got it set to all. I'm confusing myself. Okay. So then here's this one. It's just, this was a liquid meal. So they did 30 cans or whatever at $1.25 each. Again, don't use my examples as how it really works in the real world. They're just examples. But then you just click finish and you're done. And then you can go to the next vendor, home care services. Click the arrow. You got this one to do. So you'd go in there and you'd look at it and change things. And I can change anything I want about it. So like this one, authorized 8, they posted 4. Well, you may want to, check on them with that. Maybe they're just missing a timesheet or something. Why did they do it that way? Because there's no note that tells you why. That'd be something maybe you want to check on. If you don't already, you might not now, whatever. If you find out over the phone that, oh, yeah, those should have all been 8, you can just, ask them to send you the backup paperwork to that, and before you can change these all to the 8 units. Okay? To say that, okay, yeah, we recognize your mistake. Whatever. And now we've got that variance. Now, I want to show you actually before I prove that. If we have in here 12, okay, that's when that variance is going to go down, because now we don't have exactly what was authorized, and it's a negative to us, meaning that we're overpaying them. So that's what it'll look like if the variance is, a negative amount. It's going to turn red instead of being the black that it is if it's, 0 or greater, meaning that you're approving less than what was authorized. Okay, so you'll see right in red above your eyes that something's bad to deal with there, okay, before you click approve, because it's right next to the approve button. Okay, so then you just click approve. If you still approve it, that's fine. It's not going to stop you, but it's there. And this is just basically what you do to approve the bills as you go. Okay, and notice though now it's switched my vendor, so if I wanted to go back to my ABC Home vendor, I have to click here first, and then it will flip the switch. If I need to change the month, then I need to change the month back and go into here. Okay, so you can see all these different things that got posted, by who it's sent to in the review page, but the dashboard also gives you information of how to get there, as well as this pending review for the things outstanding. Okay, all right, well, let me just make sure I covered everything I was going to show you. Oh, I didn't. I have one other thing I want to show you. After everything has been approved, okay, and this is, I don't follow the user guide well, except for to make sure that I covered everything. After everything's been approved, you may have to make edits in MySys, okay? And the system does not see anything you do in MySys. So this is a one-way street. Vendor billing pushes bills to MySys when you approve bills. As we were approving those bills, what was happening is they were getting added to the MySys mass bill table as verified. Okay? We don't make you do the extra step of variance verification in MySys, because you already looked at them singly, one by one, and looked at the variance on each page to know that you wanted to approve it or not. So they go in automatically into MySys as verified. If non-services are posted, they go into the system as well at the approval process. Not when they post them, not when you look at it, but when you click approve. Okay? So they go in at that point. After that, you could edit any one of these bills inside of MySys. If you do that, what's going to happen is when you open up the bill in here, which I have to figure out where I'm going here. If I go to December, yeah, let me go, not bill. Actually, it doesn't matter. Let's go to bill. Okay. I'm going to pull up Superman. Okay. Superman had a bill edited for T1000 in December, and because I did it. And what's going to happen is it's going to tell you at the top of the screen, maybe, wait, here? No, maybe it's not here. No, because you can't edit there. You can't edit anywhere. Maybe I got the wrong person. Let's go see. Maybe it's not in bill post. No, it's only on the review page. I'm wrong. Okay. Where am I at? I'm in post bills. Okay. There we go. Okay, so if I pull up this one, I don't know which batch is he in. Nope, it's not that one. Didn't write that part down. Okay, so here's Superman for T1000. Yeah, that's how it looks. So if you pull it up in the review page, which is where the vendors are going to look to know what got approved, if they're going to look anything up in the system, you're going to see a top warning that says approved bills do not reflect actual payments since edits were made by the agent in a separate system, which means MISIS. So what happened in here is this was initially approved at 4 units, but at some point one or more of these days were edited in MISIS. So the total amounts no longer match. MISIS and vendor billing no longer have the same amount for the month, and so this warning comes up to show that. Okay, so you'll know right away that vendor billing is out of date because MISIS had changes made to it after the fact. Okay, eventually the goal is that we're going to have vendor billing do all of this, of the editing, and keep everything in the vendor billing system versus the separate MISIS stuff. But until that change is made, all edits have to be done in MISIS. Okay. So, but we're working on that. All right. So then, after everything's reviewed for a particular batch, what you can do is you can run reports on them. And the agency, or the vendors can as well. What you do is you would go into the review page, you would select a batch, or if you're on the dashboard, a batch there can be selected there as well. And when a batch is selected, when you go to the report menu, you have these 6 different options. Okay, there's a summary report that's going to show you top-level information, very top-level, of the agent, the batch, the vendor, the month, year, who sent it and when, the posted units and costs, the approved units and costs, the not reviewed units and costs, and the difference. Okay, this one has no difference except, so that's nothing, big deal. Let me go. Did I put a difference in this one? No. Which one did I do that on? I didn't send those. Did I? No. Okay. So I don't have anywhere we're going to have a difference. That's not good. Okay, we're going to go review a batch with a difference just a second. I thought I did one, but I can't find it. Okay, so let's do this one that they approved 2 units, just because. I don't care. Okay. So if I run reports on this guy, okay, so now I've got that note, there's everything's been reviewed for it, and run the summary report, it's going to have -2 because they posted minus, or approved minus posted is -2, okay? So the difference is we didn't approve 2 units that they wanted us to approve. Okay, so that is going to show up actually on a lot of the different reports. It's going to be on the batch service summary report, which is by service, how much was approved. And this is not really a good example, but I'm going to have to go show you the other batches for these to show something halfway decent. Sorry, I'm flipping around. I'm just trying to get better data on these for you. So this service summary shows you, all the various services, posted, approved, not reviewed units, posted, approved, not reviewed total cost, and totals are at the top. Okay, so this is at the service level. There's also a client service report that can be run, and this will give you by client and service what the totals are. All right, so you can see that information a little bit more detailed down. Then there's also the detail report, which is every minute detail about it. Can be shown in here. Okay, so this is going to be a humongo report. I mean, this is already 6 pages with as little as I played with today. Imagine your big vendors. This is all that's for. Not much. There's also a difference report, and I really wish where did that one go? I posted notes to and everything. I thought that was the January one, but I must have just posted them. I'm losing my mind. Oh. Let's use this one. So if we go to the difference report, it's going to show you only the bills that are different than what was approved. So this is what we recommend vendors run when you've approved something. they can go in the system, and we want them to find that and you run this report, and then they can see exactly what was different versus here's everything and figure it out of the big pile of paperwork that we just gave you. Okay, so these are all the ones that we approved more than what was posted. Okay, if there were notes that the agency posted, it would also show up on this report, which I was trying to remember which batch I did that to, but I can't remember. Is it the January one for this one? I don't think a difference report's going to show it, though, because there's no difference. See, it'll be just like this. If there's no difference, that's what it'll look like. So they know that if they get a blank report, they're good. If they get something on it, they're not. But even the detail report will show the notes, and non-services and such will show up, but only if they're present. I just can't figure out which batch it's from. Sorry. But that information does show up, promise. The other report we added in here was for your use, and it was to basically replicate an expenditure report that we had, to put it in here versus having you to go out to the reports portal. And so this is basically the FundSource Service condensed report that we have in the expenditures world. And so it shows you by fund source the different services and the amounts approved. Okay, so that this could be an accounting report that's sent to the people that are going to actually pay the bill to keep the top level information for, like a cover sheet. Okay.
Melissa, this is Paula. Do you run those reports before you approve the batch?
No. Well, yeah, that's a good question. Let me go see.
Because I was just thinking, you know, on kind of like our variance verification that we do now, you know, if we have overages or something.
Oh, the difference report won't show you anything.
Their manager and, you know, have them either approve or disapprove it before we verify the bill.
Right. The difference report won't show anything because the difference is all about what was approved versus posted. So if I don't, yeah, you haven't approved anything yet, so it won't show there. So you can't get the differences. What about the detail? Yeah, the detail will show what was posted. So you can get that after the batch has been created, but it's not, you know, it's not showing you differences here at that level. So there really isn't anything besides when you're going through the approval process to know that there's a difference. Okay? I mean, it's the same thing as when you're posting bills in MISIS. You know, you post them, and it's just like approving them, and then afterwards you look at it. And if you have something that big of a difference that you weren't authorized to approve, then you may just want to reject it and deal with it later. But that's up to you with how you want to do your flow. But we don't have anything that prints anything about, you know, only the differences at the variance part before you go do the approval process. I mean, that's something we'd probably look into, though. It's never been asked for before. But I'm sure it might help people. Oops, I'm just cleaning up here. I'm going to write that down. So it's a variance difference of approved, or no, posted versus authorized. Okay. All right, I got that written down. I'm actually surprised nobody's asked for that. Probably because their vendors are just so good at billing and not, you know, ever asking for more than they're supposed to. All right. So that's all the reports that are in the system. I already talked to you about the last page on manage users. There's a quick start guide thing in the user guide on page 10 that we recommend for people that are just starting up. This is, you know, the quick and easy steps to go, you know, through the whole process of, you know, a reminder of what you do when and what buttons you click to get there. So that can help. The user guide is inside of the help menu as well as video tutorials. If you click on the video tutorials, you'll get these different training sessions available to you here. They are a little out of date and should not be run probably in Internet Explorer. It has problems, but it's basically bringing up YouTube videos of things that we recorded in here. So that information is available to you as well. Our information's on the Contact Us, of course. The other thing I wanted to mention too is with vendor billing, when a new agency signs on for it, it is a free software that you can get, but we do not do any tech support on it with your vendors. So anybody that has problems with vendor billing has to go through your agency first, and then if you have a problem, then you can contact us, but we send everybody to you first. That's kind of what the concession was of you got it for free and you provide tech support versus it being part of a contract, monthly thing, billing thing, like VendorView is. Okay? Because most of the things in billing are having to do with the person and, you know, whether or not I should bill this, and that's stuff that we don't know how to answer.
Hey, Melissa, this is Phil Day from Region 2.
Yeah.
I had a question.
Yeah.
We enter bills through vendor billing, and I was wondering, is there a different way of getting a view of what was authorized for the week? Right now, she has to go to MISIS to compare the bills, you know, to the authorized amounts, and then enter the stuff in the vendor billing.
Oh, I see what you're saying. You're posting them, like, what, I mean, you mean you're getting the vendor bills and then posting them?
Yeah.
Well, wouldn't you post them exactly as the bills are, and then when you get to the approval process, that's where you would review the authorized part?
Well, it takes a little bit of time to figure out what's going on, you know. Like you say, there's delays in knowing if it's non-service or, you know, we have to call them up sometimes and have them do corrections.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we never put authorized in there because it's the same thing as what the vendors get. I mean, we'd have to get consensus from everybody that we wanted to start showing that to vendors for it to be in the bill post process.
I don't want the vendors to see that. I was kind of hoping we could get a different view ourselves, because it seems like it wouldn't be that difficult to set up another, you know, view for just the vendors, like the agents themselves.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about that here, because right now it's set up to everybody, you know, if everybody does the same thing except for we flip off the edits for the review for the vendors, like you can. So they see the same.
If you had that differences report before you approved it, it would show you what was authorized and what you posted.
Right.
That's why I was asking kind of for that report, because
But he was trying to get it before you even posted it.
And we used the variance report, and if it's not posted the way it should be, or they didn't bill the way it should be, and if there's any overages, we send them on to the care for approval or disapproval.
Right. But yeah, what he was saying was that, Paula, he was saying that they don't even want to post them that way. So they wouldn't have got to that step. They wanted it the post process to show the authorized.
Well, isn't that what shows up here? It's what is
No, in
authorized?
the posting process, no. The review process, yes. So if I went into, if I can click the right buttons here.
Wait a minute now. If you click on somebody that you haven't posted yet for the month, it shows what they're supposed to be getting.
If this is already posted. This is just a sec. I have to find somebody not posted. If I go to January here. Okay. So if I go into Superman here for January for this XYZ monitoring, when I go in here, all I see is a cost per unit. I don't see how many units are authorized. I have to hand enter that to whatever it may be. Okay? The 4 and 35 up here are just, I mean, this would be blank, but I put in a 4 before, but 35 is just coming from that number. Now, this only shows up on the days of the templates, the cost per unit does, but the authorized amount does not show in bill post for
Okay,
anything.
I see what you're talking about now.
Yeah, so he was wanting to see something about what was authorized in here. And right now that is not there because we didn't want the vendors to see it.
Correct, but if there was some way of recognizing that it was the agent that was doing the posting,
Mm-hmm.
you know, to show us a different view. I understand what he's saying now.
Okay. At the same point, I mean, same thing I'm thinking about though. Wouldn't you want a log though of what they actually sent to you electronically to compare and post that as it was? and then use the review approve process as where you figure that out.
Well, this is Jose from Region 2 again.
Mhm.
We do get a lot of invoices, but the thing is, the ones that come over with mistakes, sometimes they're just kind of like errors on their part. So I don't want to post errors.
Okay.
Like they bill for half a unit.
Oh, okay. Okay. I got you. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so somehow show the authorized on the screen. Great. Yeah. All right, I wrote that down to look into too. All right. Are there any other questions people have or ideas that they found would be helpful? Because we never hear from anybody on vendor billing, really.
Melissa, this is Diana. We have a vendor that's currently sending in a paper bill that is waiting for an import process. Are we still moving toward that?
Yes, we want to have that. The only issue is we got to get rid of MISIS billing first. So we're working towards that. We're rewriting care plans as we speak, and that's the first step to getting the billing done. And then we want to move towards everybody using vendor billing in a maybe a little bit different format. We're going to start, we'll have design meetings and stuff about that before we even get there. But basically it'd be something like vendor billing, if not using the same tool, to switch over completely from MISIS bill posting. And then once we have that set up in place, that's when we can develop specs and stuff for somebody to bill us electronically.
Okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions or things you want to see?
Well, this is Jose from Region 2 again.
Yeah.
We had like an error one time where the dollar signs were in a different format, different currency.
Yeah.
What controls that?
I'm not exactly sure, but if you do see that again, let us know. It's a setting on the web app servers that somehow gets messed up, and it somehow switches and thinks that we're in London instead of America, and gives us the pounds symbol instead of dollar signs. So, yeah, it doesn't affect the data. It doesn't do any data conversion, so the numbers are still fine. It's just that symbol's wrong. And we usually have to go to a programmer who has to go fix it. So I'm not exactly sure exactly how they fix it, but there's something in the background of the servers, and it could be just one server. So you could see it at one, like you're logged in and somebody else at your agency's logged in, and they see it fine and you're not. That's totally possible because you may be hitting a different web app server because there's 5 of them out there. So yeah, so let us know if you see that, but we've got it fixed right now. As far as I know, it's fixed.
Melissa, this is Paula. If we go to the vendor billing, can we process some vendors ourselves in vendor billing and then others in MISIS as we continue to do today?
Oh, yeah.
Or do we have to make a complete switch over?
You can do both.
Okay.
Yeah, just as long as you don't do both for the same vendor in the same month, that'd be bad. Because
Okay.
you would get duplicate bills in the system if you did that. Yeah. Vendor billing would ship what it has to MISIS. MISIS go, oh, okay, and it's already in MISIS. So it doesn't know any better.
All right. Thank you.
Yep. I think actually a lot of agencies do that anyway. Or they're using vendor billing as they're posting as the vendor for certain vendors, and other vendors they're letting them post. And then some they probably do want to use MISIS. So it just depends on how you want to go about it. Until MISIS goes away, that is, which is still a while off yet. I'd say in the next 3 years, tops. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. All right. So the vendor billing training, this will lead into the MISIS bill training that's coming up on Tuesday. I'll be sending out information about that here shortly. if anybody's interested in that. And then we have the encounters, I believe, after that. I don't know. I'm getting all confused. I think it's encounters after that. So, but we'll be sending out emails. I didn't want to send them back to back so that everybody got confused and came into the wrong webinar. So, and we'll do it.
Melissa, could you include the phone number and the web ID in that email so we have it for next week?
It wasn't, this one was in the first email. It just doesn't go through the webinar stuff. That's the problem because I'm using the recording. And the recording, I have to have the VoIP, but I want you guys to be able to speak. So if I want you to be able to speak, then I have to use the separate phone call number. But I can't do both in the webinar. So the original connection information was in the original email I sent for the phone call, but it did not come through the webinar emails that automatically
okay, thanks. I need to use your email as my meeting for my calendar then. That's what you're
Yeah.
telling me. Thank you.
Yep. Yeah, I know it was confusing. But I can't edit the things that the webinar sends out, unfortunately. All right, so I will talk to you soon. If you have any more questions, feel free to contact us here, and we'll be happy to help. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.